I have a startling and somewhat uncomfortable statistic for you to consider today. Right now, in the United States, over 96 million adults are living with prediabetes. To put that into perspective, that is more than 1 in 3 people you pass on the street, sit next to in the office, or see at the grocery store every single day. But here's the part that should truly keep you up at night. 80% of them, 8 out of every 10 people, have absolutely no clue that their body is on the very verge of a functional breakdown. Welcome back to the channel. I am Dr. Jonathan Caldwell. In my years of clinical practice, I have seen thousands of patients walk into my office with a devastating, life-altering diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. And almost every single one of them says the exact same thing. Doctor, it came out of nowhere. I felt perfectly fine yesterday. But as a physician, when I take a deep dive into their medical history and look at the subtle biological clues, I see a much different truth. Their body was never silent. It was actually screaming for help for 5, maybe even 10 years before the diagnosis. They simply didn't know how to translate those early signals into a warning they could understand. To truly understand why your body is struggling today, we have to look at the world we actually live in. We are currently living through a massive, unintended human experiment. Our biology evolved over thousands of years for a world of scarcity, but we now live in a modern world of toxic abundance. Think about the average American breakfast. You grab what you think is a healthy granola bar, a flavored latte from a coffee chain, or perhaps a bowl of processed cereal. By 8 a.m., you've likely consumed more refined sugar than your ancestors did in an entire month. Modern food engineering has hidden high fructose corn syrup in almost everything, from your favorite pasta sauce to your healthy whole wheat bread. Every time you eat these hidden sugars, your pancreas pumps out a powerful hormone called insulin. Its primary job is to take that sugar out of your blood and push it into your cells to be used for energy. But here is the critical problem. When the sugar never stops coming, your cells eventually stop listening. They effectively lock the door. This is the physiological state we call insulin resistance. Think of it like living next to a loud, busy airport. At first, the noise of the planes keeps you awake all night. But after a year, your brain tunes them out completely. You don't even hear them anymore. That is exactly what your cells do to insulin. They tune it out. Now, your pancreas has to work overtime, burning itself out just to compensate. Your blood sugar might still look normal on a standard test, but the foundation of your health is cracking. Today, we are going way beyond basic tests. I am going to reveal the 9 hidden symptoms your body uses to cry for help. And make sure you stick around until the very end, because I'm going to share the #1 silent killer symptom that even seasoned doctors often overlook. Let's dive deep into the data. The very first physical sign of this internal struggle is one that most people easily dismiss as simply getting older or having a weak bladder. You start waking up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. At first, it might be just once, usually around 3 or 4 a.m. Then it becomes twice. And eventually, it becomes your new normal. You might tell yourself it's just your prostate, or perhaps you just have a small bladder that can't hold as much as it used to. But as a physician, I have to tell you, that is rarely the case. Here is what is actually happening beneath the surface. Your kidneys have entered a state of emergency. When your blood sugar levels stay consistently high, that glucose becomes toxic to your sensitive tissues. Your body is desperate to get rid of it. To protect your vital organs, your kidneys begin working overtime to filter that excess glucose and literally flush it out of your system through your urine. This isn't just about drinking too much water before you go to bed. This is a profound physiological survival mechanism. Your body is trying to save your internal organs from being pickled in sugar. And that leads us directly to symptom number 2, the unquenchable thirst. In the medical community, we call this polydipsia. Think about the logic here. Because your body is losing massive amounts of fluid through frequent urination in an attempt to dump the toxic sugar, your brain sends a constant, urgent signal to drink more to prevent dehydration. It's a dry mouth, a sticky feeling on your tongue, and lips that seem to stay cracked no matter what you do. But here is the classic American trap that I see every single day. Many people feel that dry mouth and reach for a Gatorade, a large soda, or what they think is a healthy fruit juice. Think about the dangerous irony of that choice. You are thirsty because your blood sugar is too high, so you drink even more sugar to quench that thirst. It is a vicious, destructive cycle that accelerates the damage to your metabolism and puts even more strain on your already exhausted kidneys. If you find yourself carrying a massive 40-ounce Stanley Cup everywhere you go, and you still feel like your tongue is made of sandpaper, your body isn't just asking for hydration, it is crying out for insulin sensitivity. I want you to start keeping a simple log for the next 48 hours. If you are waking up to pee more than once a night without having consumed a massive amount of water right before sleep, that is a major red flag that your metabolic health is in jeopardy. Now, let's talk about your daily energy levels, specifically that dreaded mid-afternoon slump around 2 or 3 p.m. In America, we have completely normalized this phenomenon. We call it the post-lunch dip, and we try to fight it off with an extra shot of espresso, a sugar-filled energy drink, or a quick snack from the office vending machine. But if you feel like you've been hit by a heavy truck 40 minutes after eating a sandwich, a bowl of pasta, or even a large salad with a sweet dressing, your body is communicating something critical. This is not just normal tiredness from a long day at the office. It is a loud, clear sign that your cellular engine is failing to process fuel. Let's go back to that key analogy I mentioned earlier. Insulin is the only key that can open the door to your cells. When you develop insulin resistance, the sugar, your primary fuel, is floating in massive toxic amounts in your bloodstream, but the doors to your cells are jammed shut. So here's the terrifying paradox of prediabetes. Your blood is literally overflowing with fuel, but your cells are actually starving for energy. This leads to what I call the brain fog of prediabetes. You find it nearly impossible to focus on your work, your short-term memory feels hazy, and you experience an overwhelming, almost physical need to lie down and shut your eyes. It is because your brain, the most energy-hungry organ in your entire body, is not getting the glucose it needs to function correctly. And then the second wave hits, the intense, uncontrollable sugar cravings. Because your cells are starving, they send an emergency panic signal to your brain saying, "We need energy right now." This makes you desperately crave fast-acting carbohydrates like cookies, chips, or a soda. You eat them, your blood sugar spikes even higher. Your pancreas panics and pumps out even more insulin, and the cycle repeats until you are physically exhausted, chronically moody, and gaining stubborn weight around your midsection despite your best efforts. This isn't a lack of willpower, it's a biochemical trap. If your life feels like a constant, exhausting roller coaster of energy spikes and devastating crashes, stop blaming your workload or your age. Your metabolism is waving a white flag, and it is time you started listening to the biology behind the fatigue. The next set of symptoms are ones that most people try to scrub away in the shower, thinking it's just a matter of poor hygiene or maybe just aging. But no amount of soap will fix this, because the problem is coming from deep within your endocrine system. Have you noticed any dark, velvety patches of skin around the back of your neck, your armpits, or your groin? In the medical world, we call this acanthosis nigricans. It's not a stain. It's actually a direct physical manifestation of high insulin levels in your blood. When your body is flooded with insulin, it causes your skin cells to reproduce at an abnormally fast rate. These new cells, mabos, have more melanin, which results in those dark, thickened patches. If you see this on yourself or your children, it is a loud, clear siren that your body is struggling with massive insulin resistance. But there's another skin sign that is even more common in the United States: skin tags. Those small, flesh-colored growths that pop up on your neck, eyelids, or under your arms. For a long time, we thought they were just a sign of friction. But recent clinical studies have shown a powerful link between multiple skin tags and metabolic syndrome. High insulin acts like a growth factor. It tells your tissues to grow when they shouldn't. If you've suddenly noticed a cluster of new skin tags, your body is waving a red flag. And it's not just your skin. Your nerves are also under attack. Do you ever feel a strange tingling, a burning sensation, or a pins and needles feeling in your toes or fingers? Maybe it feels like your foot has fallen asleep, but it happens even when you're standing up. In medicine, we call this peripheral neuropathy. Think of your nerves like electrical wires. High blood sugar acts like acid, slowly eating away at the protective insulation of those wires. At first, it feels like tingling or itchiness, but if the sugar stays high, the nerves start to die, leading to total numbness. Finally, check your vision. Have you noticed that your sight gets blurry for a few hours and then suddenly goes back to normal? You might think you just need new glasses. But if your vision is clear in the morning and fuzzy by the evening, it's a blood sugar problem. High glucose causes the lens in your eye to swell with fluid, altering your focus. Your skin, your nerves, and your eyes are all acting as billboards for what is happening in your blood. Stop ignoring the signs. And now we've reached the most dangerous symptom of all. It's the one I promised to tell you about at the beginning, and frankly, it's the reason why type 2 diabetes is called the silent killer. Symptom number 9 is feeling absolutely nothing at all. I know that sounds like a contradiction. How can nothing be a symptom? But here is the cold, hard truth of clinical medicine. Your body is an incredible machine. It is designed to adapt, to compensate, and to keep you moving even when things are fundamentally going wrong inside. You can walk around for 5, 7, or even 10 years with elevated blood sugar and feel perfectly fine. You might have a little less energy than you used to, or you might be slightly thirstier, but you write it off as stress, work, or just the natural process of aging. But while you feel fine, that excess sugar is acting like a slow-moving acid in your veins. It is microscopically scarring the delicate filters in your kidneys. It is stiffening the walls of your large arteries and damaging the tiny capillaries in your brain. In our American healthcare culture, we have a mindset of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But when it comes to your metabolism, if you wait until it feels broken, you have waited far too long. This is exactly why you cannot rely on how you feel. You have to rely on the data. You have to look under the hood before the engine seizes up. So how do we do that? You need to be your own advocate when you sit down with your doctor. In the standard US healthcare system, most physicians only run a basic metabolic panel once a year. They check your fasting blood glucose, and if that number is under 100, they tell you everything is perfect. But here is the secret. Your fasting glucose is often the very last marker to move. By the time that number hits 126, you've likely had insulin resistance for a decade. To catch this early, you must request 3 specific tests. First, the hemoglobin A1C. This isn't just a snapshot, it's a 3-month average of your blood sugar. Second, fasting insulin. This is the most underrated test in modern medicine. You can have perfect blood sugar, but if your fasting insulin is high, it means your pancreas is working 10 times harder than it should to keep you there. It's the smoke before the fire. And third, the HOMA-IR score. This is a simple calculation using your glucose and insulin numbers to determine exactly how resistant your cells are to insulin. Don't be afraid to ask for these. In the US, many insurance plans cover them if you mention fatigue or a family history. Remember, you cannot manage what you do not measure. Getting this data is the first step to reversing the damage before it becomes permanent. The good news is that unlike many other chronic conditions, prediabetes is not a life sentence. It is a metabolic crossroads. You can choose to keep going toward a diagnosis, or you can choose to turn the ship around. And you don't need a miracle to do it. You just need a strategy. Here are 3 non-negotiable biological interventions you can start today. First, change the order of your food. This is a complete game changer that costs you $0. Clinical studies show that if you eat your fiber, think a green salad or steamed broccoli, first, followed by your protein and healthy fats, and save your carbohydrates for the very end of the meal, you can reduce your post-meal glucose spike by up to 75%. You're eating the same food, just in a different sequence. This protects your pancreas from the massive insulin surge that leads to fat storage and fatigue. Second, the 10-minute movement rule. You don't need to spend 2 hours at a high-intensity gym to fix your blood sugar. In fact, research shows that a simple 10 to 15-minute walk immediately after your largest meal is more effective at managing blood sugar than many medications. When you move your muscles, they soak up glucose from your blood like a sponge, even without needing extra insulin. Make it a non-negotiable habit. Eat, then walk. Third, prioritize magnesium and fiber. Most Americans are chronically deficient in magnesium, which is a key mineral for insulin signaling. Adding magnesium-rich foods like pumpkin seeds and spinach, or a high-quality supplement can help grease the locks on your cellular doors. Combine that with at least 30 grams of fiber a day to slow down sugar absorption in your gut. The most important thing I want you to take away today is hope. Your body is not your enemy. It's not betraying you when it sends these signals. It's actually trying to protect you. These 9 symptoms are your window of opportunity to catch a problem while it's still reversible. I've seen patients turn their health around in as little as 90 days just by making these small, consistent changes. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you noticed any of these signs? Or maybe you've already started your journey to reversing prediabetes. Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else in this community needs to hear today to take that first step. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button. It's the best way to help the YouTube algorithm get this life-saving information to the people who need it most. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. In my next video, I'm going to reveal the top 5 health foods that are secretly spiking your insulin and keeping you stuck in the pre-diabetic zone. You don't want to miss that. I'm Dr. Jonathan Caldwell. Take charge of your health, listen to your body, and I'll see you in the next one.